So, guys, Star Trek The Next Generation. Many of you know that I wrote for the show. I wrote an episode of Star Trek TNG. Many of you do not. So, just thought it would be a great 500th video. This is the channel's 500th video. So, let's talk about Star Trek The Next Generation. Hollywood. Star Trek The Next Generation, the sequel show, the spin-off of the classic series. It was, just like most shows, a quote-unquote closed show, meaning you needed an agent to approach and to write. But then, in the third season, season 3 brought in Michael Piller, who opened up the show. He established a program which said anyone who signed the proper legal release form, and I did, got it from the studio. You had to write in and say, I'd like a form. Fill it out, sign it, send it in, and then you could send in your script. You could submit a teleplay, and that teleplay had to be 55 to 65 pages. I think that's sort of, a myth or a, misconception that, you wrote for Star Trek and you just, you sent in, one page or you had a meeting with them. No, you had to write a full 55 to 65 page script. So this was right before I went to college. In fact, I got the acceptance letter for college about a week or two after I sold to Star Trek The Next Generation. So, I look back and look at those two enormous milestones in anyone's life happening within 2 or 3 weeks of each other. So after the submission, after the acceptance, after the contract and the check, then it's the waiting game. And in Hollywood, many times, this is often the case. A script will be purchased, deals are struck, and then the project never goes through. It never sees the light of day. Now, with Star Trek, of course, since it's a television show, it's a really good bet it's going to happen. But I was like, wow, what if they don't, produce the episode? What if they don't go through with it? They did, of course, and I was just absolutely thrilled. So my Next Generation episode aired in the 7th season, Homeward, starring Paul Sorvino as Nikolai Rozhenko, Worf's human foster brother, which we found out about in season 1 in an episode called Heart of Glory. It was a real thrill to have Paul Sorvino, an actor I admired for years, Goodfellas, so many great films, to take on the role. He was a big fan. I found out later that Paul was a big Next Generation or a big Star Trek fan in general. So after that, I followed up with a Deep Space Nine script. That became Profit Motive. My episode title was Charity. And I would then pitch for Deep Space Nine, had meetings with DS9 and Voyager throughout the next several years. And it was a great jumping off point for a screenwriting career. I subsequently pitched to many other shows, including The Dead Zone, and that was Michael Piller's show over at UPN, which was great. It was great to finally meet Michael because everything was, done through sort of intermediaries, and obviously a TV show is a big, production process. So I met with Michael and his staff and pitched to him for The Dead Zone, and subsequently after that, other shows. So I look back to that. This was the mid-late 90s into 2000s, and obviously quite a long time ago. We have Hollywood now, who is basically a streaming industry. I mean, if you see recently, a bunch of big movies just didn't do well. The Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling, which looks really great. Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. I can't wait to see it, but it just didn't do well. Maybe it's going to have legs. Maybe it will do better later on. But what I'm saying is streaming now is, of course, the focus for most of the studios. In fact, this morning they did a report on, I think it's Disney, Warner Brothers, and Discovery, Hulu, whatever. They're all going to kind of ban because I guess Disney owns Hulu, and then Warner Brothers Discover with Max, and they're going to kind of smash together a bundle. So it's about streaming, and the industry has changed in terms of how you go about submitting scripts. I mean, obviously getting an agent. I had an agent for a while, and then if you don't do anything in the industry. You don't need one. So it's a back and forth, but it's certainly a learning experience for me about, a place like YouTube streaming and social media. And this is where I found great creative challenges and rewards, and where I spend so much more of my energy. I've written some books. I did, a lot of journalistic reporting and lots of articles. I have a Substack but for right now, YouTube is really a great place for me, and I love it. So, hope you're enjoying. Hope you're subscribing. Feel free to ask any questions, and we'll see you soon.